Hi there, welcome to Create with Copper. This video focuses on Viking knit and I want to show you the double and triple weaves. If you're interested in more jewellery making techniques and tutorials, click that subscribe button now. Let's get started. For these weaves, I'll briefly recap on single Viking knit as the comparator, and then I can focus on the double and then triple weave. Then I'll draw them all at the same time to show the comparison. Now I like a fine weave, so I'm going to be using 0.25mm diameter wire throughout, which is 30 gauge. You could use a thicker wire if you wanted to. And for the tools, I'm going to be using the Lazee Daizee Viking knit tool and the draw plate. I expect that my chains will need to be a bit finer than the draw plate allows, so I've got my homemade draw plate with finer holes, and I'll need my wire cutters and flat nose pliers. So I'm going to start the single weave by taking the end of my wire through one of the holes on the daisy. And then I'll take it down through the next hole, cross that wire over and make a small loop underneath. And I'll just continue around the daisy in the same way. I'm going to use all 6 holes. And then once I get back to the start, I want to take that wire underneath the cross that those loops have made. And the single weave just continues in the same way. Just keep taking the wire through underneath the cross above. To add wire in, you just need to take the tail through the little loop that's made and then continue around in the same way as before. And once you get to where that wire is added in, I just take the wire so it encases those 2 ends. And I'll do that for 5 or 6 rows, and then I can just trim the ends of those tails. And this is how the finished weave looks. It's fairly open and ready to draw through the draw plate. For the double weave, I'll start the wire in exactly the same way, taking it through each of the loops on the daisy. And once I get round to the start, I want to do 1 row exactly the same as the single weave. So taking the wire behind where the wires cross above. But once I've got back to the start after that first proper row, I'm then going to take the wire around the top cross again. So that's a row up from where the single weave would be. Then I'll continue this weave around, so it's always the second row up that you're weaving through. It can look a bit messy at the start of the weave, so if I come back to it a little bit further down, you can hopefully see where this is weaving. So where the single weave is going under the lowest cross, the double weave is going under the next cross up. And then to add in wire, we can simply feed the end of the new wire into the space that the old wire is coming out of. And then continue weaving from there. And as we get round to those ends, we can simply weave over them as before for 5 or 6 rows to weave them in. And as you can see, the finished weave just looks a little denser than the single weave, but that one's now ready to draw through the draw plate too. For the triple weave, we start attaching the wire in exactly the same way as before, taking the wire through each of the loops of the daisy. But this time we're going to weave 2 rows of the single weave. And once we get back to the start, we're going to take the wire up behind the top cross. So we're now 3 crosses up from the bottom. And we'll continue weaving around in that way. And that is the only difference between the 3 weaves. If I move down the weave a little bit, you can see I'm taking it through the 3rd space up to go under the 3rd cross up. And in comparison, you can see for the single weave you're going under the 1st cross, the double weave you're going under the 2nd cross, and the triple weave you're going under the 3rd cross up. And to add in wire, again the end of the new piece of wire just needs to go in where the old piece is coming out. We'll bend that down and continue the weave. And then weave over those ends as before to secure them in. And here are how the 3 finished weaves look. And as you can see, the triple weave is the densest of the 3 weaves. So that's now ready to draw through the draw plate. So to prepare the Viking knit for drawing through the draw plate, I just cut off those loops that have gone through the daisy at the top, pull that daisy off and just get rid of the loose bits of wire. I'll then fold the end of the wire inwards just to get it out of the way. And then I use 3 scraps of wire just to go through the opposite loops. And then bend upwards. And I'll twist all of those together. And that just gives me something to pull through the draw plate. I'll then just use the cloth that comes with the draw plate just to help condition the weaves. And for each of these I've woven 25 centimetres of the raw weave, and then I'm ready to draw them through. Now the first hole I'm going to draw them through is the 5/16 of an inch, because they're about that size anyway. And I'm going to draw each of the weaves through twice. I'm going to start with the triple weave each time because that's the one that will end up being the largest and will reach its limit first. And I'll just keep reducing down the hole sizes and drawing each of the weaves through. I'm just finishing drawing them through the smallest hole on the draw plate, which is the 1/8 of an inch hole. So I'll just have a look at them at this point and measure them out. This is the triple weave. It's still got a bit of give, but it is getting a bit less flexible. The double weave is a little more flexible still. And the single weave is still very flexible. And at this point the single weave is 58 centimetres long, the double weave 46 centimetres, and the triple weave is 43.5 centimetres long. So now I'm going to continue with my homemade draw plate, and I don't have any gauge sizes on here because I just used whatever drill bits I had to hand to create them. But I'll just take each one through until it reaches its limit. And I think that now is the limit of the triple weave. So we'll just continue with the double weave and single weave. And that's, I think, as far as the double weave's going to go. And as you can see, it's reasonably flexible, but not so much as the single weave is. And actually it's about the same as I've gotten to with the triple weave a little earlier. So I'll just continue with the single weave, and that will go through the smallest hole on my draw plate. It's still quite flexible, but I'm limited by the holes I've got to draw it through. And just to give you a bit of a guide, the final lengths are for the single weave 68.5 centimetres, the double weave 50 centimetres and the triple weave 44 centimetres. Hope you enjoyed the video. If so, please press the like button below. Don't forget you could subscribe to my channel and head over to my website for more hints, tips and projects. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.